Hi guys, my name is Stephen Sergon, a member of ACSYA, and today we'll be speaking to Rebin, a representative from the United Nations Development Program, and we'll talk about their recent restoration of the Khinnis reliefs in Iraq. Would like to thank Rebin for making the time out of his busy schedule to join us today. So Rebin, can you please tell us about yourself, your background, the importance of preserving the Khinnis site and how the restoration program was established?
Thanks so much, dear. So this is Rebin Hamad Amin from UNDP, Senior Program Assistant on Livelihood Projects. I'm thankful to having this opportunity to discuss about this heritage site. So as you know, the Khinnis is one of the ancient sites belonging to Assyrian Empire, which is around 700 BC, built by the Sennacherib king. So this is important to understand, even like it's located in Shekhan district within Nainawa, or we can say the whole governorate as well. This area is even famous and well known with its heritage. So we can say that there's combination of the Assyrian, Yazidis, as well as the Muslim site is all there. So UNDP project has been implemented last year as well as this year through generous funds from sorry, here's some cut maybe after. So the project has been implemented by UNDP, ICRRP program, Iraq's Crisis Response Resilience, with the implementation support by acted organizations. So we have to even talk about that we have generous funding from the German Ministry of Economic Development and through the KFW Development Bank. So the aim of the project was to provide support, income generation, and stimulation of the local economy, and provide short-term employment to the beneficiaries who've been affected by the conflict after ISIL. So the target population, where we saw that there was some returnees, some host communities, as well as IDPs in the area. So the let's say the selection of the Khinnis site was after having deep kind of assessment and discussion with the local governments as well as the local communities to select one of the assets to rehabilitate, because in the end, the aim is not just to provide the short-term employment as well as to support local government by rehabilitating their assets, because we do understand after the crisis of ISIS, as well as there was some financial crisis where the government couldn't able to support their assets through some rehabilitation or to do some improvement. So that was one of the main objectives. And the second objective, as we already know, one of the heritage sites is important to be well known and for reviving the tourism. So preserving these ancient locations is important for the local kind of income generation. So that was the idea on how we started. So throughout this project, it was let's say the duration was almost 15 months, and throughout this project we could support more than 2,500 households in Shekhan area and its sub-districts and villages.
Oh, that's great to hear. So that leads us on into our next question. So what was your involvement in the program, and can you please give us a high-level view of the logistics and planning that was involved in establishing the program?
Sure. So the project is implemented by one of international organization called ACTED, as mentioned before. So the community involvement and engagement was one of our objectives, how we could implement the project there. So the idea when we started to have some community discussion, focus groups, and key informant interviews with the local communities and government on how we select some important assets. So one of them was the Khinnis site. And throughout the program, we could identify some unskilled and semi-skilled beneficiaries to give them short-term employment. In the end, the idea was to provide support to the beneficiaries, and hopefully we could reach out to hundreds of beneficiaries in the area and they were happy to provide the support, and we were happy to provide them some life skills training before the implementation of the project, and we provided almost 40 days support of the cash for work. So the idea of the cash for work, as mentioned, is the short-term employment where we provide some income generation and boost their income during this period. And even we provide some employability skills during the project, so they can gain some skills for their future employment. So the idea was started on selecting 135 beneficiaries for this specific site. And the selection were upon having some selection and eligibility and vulnerability criteria for those beneficiaries. As we already said, like beneficiaries were conflict affected. So I'm not telling all the detail of the criteria, but one of the major factors were the conflicted affected beneficiaries and those who they don't have enough income to be survived during the month, and as well as some women and youth. So that was the major factor for having the beneficiaries. And in the end, the idea is the community engagement, as I mentioned. So creating social cohesion and integration of the women, that was one of the objectives, as well as has the impact after the project. So the implementation took almost 40 days, having 135 beneficiaries. The design of the, let's say, the BOQs on how we can intervene to this project site. So it was discussed with the local authorities, and especially the Khinnis, let's say, director who is already managing there, as well as the archaeological directors from Duhok. So they were designing the BOQs, and they already specified their needs for what we can do in this area and during these 40 days. So hopefully we could run the project, as well as we could implement perfectly to achieve the targets of the beneficiaries, as well as the needs for the local government, and to revive this tourist place. And almost we can boost it more than 130,000 USD during this period for this project, including the stipends for the beneficiaries.
Wow, that's amazing. It's great to see that the locals are getting involved, and like the UNDP's helping out the affected, the people in the areas and their respective villages. So could you elaborate on what was involved in restoring the site? Like what was actually done within those 40 days?
Yeah. So as mentioned, the design of the BOQ was done through the directorate, and some discussions and technical skills and assessment throughout the organization as well. So what we did, it was the cleaning the area, at the same time cleaning some water canals, as well as installing some lighting, because in the end it's not about just during the day people coming. So we used some innovative approaches, putting solar energy for having light during even the night, as well as putting some walking bridges for easy access for the tourists and people who are coming to this area. And later on, after the exit of the project, we could provide some assets for the directorate itself, who's managing there, so they can still, let's say, activating as well as operating the area very well. So the idea of the BOQ for us as UNDP, usually we are collaborating with the local authorities, because in the end they are the ownership of this sites. So as UNDP, we are just supporting the local government in what they require. At the same time, we provide our technical skills in providing, let's say, well detailed and skilled laborers to provide what they require as well. So in the end, we could achieve what they want, and we hope they can operate even after us.
Wow, that's great. That's great to hear. So are there any plans to continue working with the locals for similar initiatives in the pipeline for the UNDP?
So I think we have to understand and know that this kind of projects has so much impact on the area. As I said, it is let's say stimulation of the local economy by having more tourists in this area. And we do understand that it's not just preserving heritage, it's reviving tourism and also having community participation and social cohesion, in this area. So as I mentioned before, these 135 beneficiaries were a combination of different religious and backgrounds, and they all worked together to empower their community, and they engaged to support the community assets rehabilitation. So as UNDP, it's our aim to support these communities, not just in Sheikh Khan, in other locations. And as part of our previous project, as mentioned, there was similar projects in different areas and governments, especially the newly liberated areas. So throughout our program, we are still trying to build resilience and create more employment opportunities through our new program called BREP, Building Resilience Through Employment Opportunities, as well as our previous program, the crisis response. So we could support different local authorities and governments in standing in their foot, especially during the crisis. So we have plans and we are still working on our plans, and with our generous funds from international community, we are trying to support these communities as well as this heritage site, or let's say ancient areas, because in the end, this is a part of the community, let's say, empowerment, especially bringing back the tourists in the area. So, and thanks to other associations, we have to not forget this. For example, the ACSYA is one of the associations that you already sharing and promoting this heritage sites. So it's important to let people know that we have these ancient areas and we have these tourist places that people, they can come and they can see, and to still operate this area. But again, we should have not to forget that these areas and this kind of heritage sites belongs to the government. So they are taking the ownership. So our aim usually during our exit strategy, we are making the memorandum of understanding with the local authorities. When we are leaving the project, they have to make sure the operation and maintenance of these sites, because in the end, they are the ownership, as I mentioned, and NGOs, they were not staying longer, but still we love to see after few months or years to see the sites are operating well when we are visiting. So by this, we can promote more and we can let international community know that there's some sites require some rehabilitation, some improvement, and it's very important for Iraqi communities as well as let's say communities to operate and to income more generation after. So that was our aim, and we hope it will continue, and we are continuing our plans to develop other areas within the Iraq and to support conflict-affected beneficiaries, as well as to build resilience throughout the communities.
Great, that's amazing to hear.
Thank you.
And so what does the future of the Khinnis site look like? Are there any plans to continue renovations or further develop the site?
So after handover of the project, we provide some support and some assets to this area, and at the same time throughout our programs, we already trying to design similar other programs where because in the end we are looking to our sustainable development goals, not just in Khinnis and other areas. So in case if we have opportunity, for sure, we are trying to implement similar projects in other areas, as well as for Khinnis, in case if there was another project. We should understand that the implementation of our programs is depend on generous funds from other international community, as well as the selection of the targeted areas, because in the end, the selection of these target areas, it has different criteria. For example, Sheikhan, we do understand it was most of the districts conflicted during the ISIL by receiving much IDPs and having some returnees after, and having some Yazidis in the area. So this was important. And as I said, where the location of the Sheikhan, it was important for being between Duhok and Nainawa Governorate, as well as having easy access for the tourists to see like this ancient and this heritage sites, like this Assyrian Empire sites, as well as we have Yazidis temples there, as well as we have some other things in the area happening, and they are well known in the agriculture. So our focus in the future, apart from providing support to these people and communities, and we are trying to reviving the agriculture sites, the heritage sites, as well as other areas of implementation. And it's worth mentioning, during the implementation of this project, it was not just about this heritage site. So we could provide support to other public assets during the period of this project. So we could rehabilitate and renovate some libraries, some public parks, as well as the football stadiums in the Sheikhan area. So imagine having more than 1,900 cash for work beneficiaries working 40 days during this period. So there will be much impact on the city. Income generation, reviving of the market, local economy, as well as improving the assets and supporting the local authorities for sure. So we are glad that we could implement this project, and we hope to continue either in Sheikhan or other areas, and supporting the heritage sites for sure. That's one of our aims as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I mean, it sounds like there's so many benefactors in this environment, or this ecosystem, that of one person helping each other out. So it's all good things to hear. So I'll open the floor to you, Rebin. Was there anything else that you wanted to mention to the audience about the Khinnis project, or about the UNDP initiatives, or anything that you're looking at in the future?
Thank you so much. So for sure, UNDP's aim and objectives is to support the communities to build the resilience. And we are happy to continue our work by providing support to the local authorities, as well as the government and communities in this area of Sheikhan or other locations. And we are happy to support any other, let's say, organizations and private sectors who are aiming to support this kind of heritage sites by providing technical skills and support, as well as some guidance on how they are implementing the project. And we are even thanking and hoping that other associations, that they can promote this kind of topics for let other organizations and other donors know that there is a heritage site, requires some rehabilitation, and it's really important to revive the tourism in the area. And in case if it is the Kurdistan region, as well as the central or government of Iraq. So it's important. And again, thanks ACSYA for that opportunity and bringing on this important topic, and especially it is Assyrian Empire, or let's say ancient city that they were there. So thanks again for your opportunity, and hope we continue at the same line what we worked before, and to support more communities and more assets with the local government. Thank you.
No, thank you, Rebin, for your time. It was very insightful to get your perspective on the project as a whole from the inside. So we look forward to hearing more from the UNDP with upcoming initiatives. And thank you. That's all we can say.
Always. Thanks for your time. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.